Chapter 41. The Fall of Illusions, Irava. We draw attention as Toravan storms through the corridor in the mage's quarters, with his guards around him, and us behind him, coat flaring with his momentum, his loose black hair still frazzled. We're all drawing a lot of attention from the other mage candidates, and even other court mages, poking their heads out of their studies or quarters down the hall. Nikolai steps into the hall ahead, dressed impeccably as usual, even on the rest day. He bows to the king as Toravan passes, then glares at me as I pass too. It is a very different glare than Master Aldrich's. And then the courtiers watch us as we move out of the mage's area into the common parts of the palace, circling around to the stairs that lead up to the royal suites. There is chatter. There is speculation. And whatever Toravan's doing, he could have done this more quietly. Unless I really am in trouble. Unless he meant to call me out. But when he burst into Master Aldrich's study, looking furious, looking frantic, I'd seen fear in his eyes, hadn't I? Had that been fear for me? Had he run because he'd thought I was in trouble in Master Aldrich's study? Had Valterre told him I'd gone to my quarters? And had Valterre or Toravan guessed, well, that I hadn't gone to my quarters? The thought heats me again in a way I can't deal with right now, as does his messy hair ahead, hair that might have been messed up for me, and his fists only barely not clenched by his sides. Does he want to protect me, too? We reach the corridor where his chambers are, and farther down, the dowager's chambers. And tense as I am, conflicted and aware of my body and his ahead of me, I have a jolt of wondering if my chambers would have been in this corridor too. If I hadn't come to Barella as Caleb, if I'd just come when I was supposed to be married, would I have taken over the dowager's suite, never knowing the malice she'd hidden there? But how could I have done anything differently than what I'd done? I couldn't marry a man I'd thought was a murderer. I was wrong, so very wrong. And now, how can he possibly marry me when he trusts so few, and for good reason? When his mother killed his father, when he was set up by the master weaver to fail, even if he trusts me now, and I don't know that he does, I'm still lying to him. I made up my mind to tell him, yes, but I'm almost shaking with the thought. I'm a hurricane of feverish heat and cold fear. I don't want to see his fury directed at me again. And I know there will be more fury yet before this is done, and more hurt. His and probably mine. And now I'm not sure if my shaking is want or terror. Toravan opens the door to his study and holds it wide for me, his face carved in granite. Carefully I step past him, aware, extremely aware, of my illusion, of Caleb, of the courtly but worn tunic and pants I'm wearing, the scuffed leather belt, the worn leather shoes. He wanted me before in these clothes, or others like them. He'd asked me before to be his lover. And if my life had been simpler, if I really had been Caleb, I might have said yes. He doesn't see Caleb as less than because he's a village mage. Will he see me as less than because I'm a princess? Or because I was supposed to be his princess, his very own weaver? I don't drop my illusion, and I don't make my illusion as Caleb real. I don't want to feel, just now, more than I can bear. Wait outside, Toravin says to Valtaire, and I shoot Valtaire a pleading look. He'd said he'd be here when I talked to Toravin. But Valtaire gives a helpless wave. Mouths, tell him. Before I can protest, Toravin slams the door shut. Toravin strides to his desk, but doesn't go behind it. He crosses his arms and leans back against it, glaring at me. And then just keeps glaring. His hair is still mussed. I catch the metallic tang of his sweat. He had been running. Or maybe that's the sweat of his anger, of his fear. I can't meet his eyes, so I look at the bookcases, at the ledgers scattered on the desk, at the intricate blue and red pattern of the rug on the floor. Can you please let go of the illusion? He asks. His words are careful and strained, like he's trying very hard not to shout at me. My gaze snaps up, because the not looking, the not knowing what he's feeling, is killing me more. His fury has doubled, and I want to rock back from the strength of it. But I brace myself. I stand where I am, feeling shabby, feeling small. I wait for him to berate me for breaking into his mother's chambers. I wait for him to accuse me. But he just waits, expectant. I shudder and hold my ground. Because I can't drop the illusion now, not here, not under his withering glare, not when it's my armor, not just now when it feels right. I shake my head, my throat too tight to speak, and now he looks exasperated, shoving a hand through his hair, messing it up even more. Impossibly, gods, impossibly, it makes me want him more. I want to cry. Why? He bursts out, and the anger is almost better than him trying to restrain it. Because I know he's angry, and it's what I deserve. Why can't you just show me who you are? I already know who you are. There's no point at all in hiding yourself from me. But he doesn't know who I am. Please, he says, and it's a torn word, broken and raw. My breath catches. I need to not see you as... He waves at me, but I can't. I can't do what he wants right now. Caleb is my armor. Caleb is how I know how to make any sense of any of this. Caleb is the person he loves, if Valtaire was right. Not me. I look away, trying to blink back the tears gathering in my eyes. Tell him, Valtaire had said. He knows what that might cost me, and still he said it. But he is right. And I was planning to tell Toravin anyway. And why can't I drop my illusion just now? Why is everything in me screaming not to? I scrub at my eyes beneath my spectacles. My chest is burning with the words I need to say, and still, I can't make myself say them. Now can't be the right time, not when he's just found out about his mother. He moves toward me, and my breath hitches. He stops in front of me, then hovers, uncertain, covering me in his shadow. Like he wants to. What? Embrace me? I stare up at him, frozen. Too close, too much in his space, and not enough. You shouldn't have gone into Aldrich's study, he says, and his voice is low, but the words are stern. I suck in a breath. I didn't find anything, but I wanted to. Can I tell him that I wanted to give him everything? I wanted to make it at least a little better, give him all the answers he needs. I wanted to be favorable in his eyes. I didn't want him to look at me with the anger and the hurt he's radiating now. It was reckless, he says, as was going into my mother's chambers. Gods of all the seasons, Caleb. He shakes his head. Please remove your illusion. He closes his eyes as if he doesn't want to see me. You don't trust me. I stiffen, because no, that's not it. No, you don't, he goes on. What reason do you have to trust me? And I'm dizzy now, because I'd thought it was the other way around. I thought he was not trusting me, and he has every right to not trust me. I shake my head. No, it's not that I don't. I just... And the thought crystallizes as I say it. I need to be Caleb now. Can you just see me as Caleb right now? There's little else I can see you as. I don't even know your name. He sounds exhausted, draining of life as I watch, and he takes a step back, as if the urgency of coming near me is draining too. I feel the loss of his closeness like the dying of a fire, and want to step near again. I can tell him now. I can make the worst of this be over. Tell him. Let him react how he reacts, and then it's over. And then, at least I know. At least the part where he turns away from me will be over. This afternoon, he says, I'm going to continue my father's work, to redistribute some of the power traditionally held by the nobility and the crown back to the common people. It's the work that got my father killed by my mother. He's watching me closely, waiting for my reaction again, and now I'm waiting for his. He says it so casually that his father was killed by his mother, but his shoulders are stiff, his posture tight. He's taking all this entirely too well, which makes me think he's not taking it well at all. He shifts his weight, regardless of how stupid it was to go in my mother's chambers. Caleb. And I don't want you to ever do that again. What did you see? I swallow, squeeze my hands tightly together. Has Valterre? He's told me everything he knows, but he said he wasn't in the chambers himself, and he's not a weaver. So tell me. So I do. I spare none of it, watching him all the while, and I note when he stiffens at the mention of the poison and the fragments of the book. But he doesn't stop me and asks questions about the book fragments, the style of writing, any illustrations, and I tell him what I can. He even goes to the bookshelves and pulls out several volumes that I see now are on weaving, and has me look at the pages. Nothing matches exactly, but one book has a similar illustration style, I think, to the fragment that talked about weaving unreality. There had been a small diagram on that one, partly torn off. It hadn't seemed as important at the time as the text. This is one of Taisha's books, he says. Taisha was a weaver in the 6th century who was cast out and eventually executed for experimenting with the limits of what willpower can do. Mind control, dream control, very dark magic, which I know, but I don't point out that I know. He stares down at the book in his hands. He was a brilliant weaver, but a horrible person. I frown. Taishe is referenced in several of the books I've read on weaving and thread magic, but I've never managed to find any of his books. Not that I want to learn mind control, but I'm curious. Of course I'm curious. This is one of the only copies in Barella, Toravan says, thumbing through the book. But he wrote several books, and I only have his one. He sighs, rubbing the gilded spine. My father had it in his library, though he never let me read it. I snuck a few glances once, though. I haven't had the chance to read it now. Can you look? Is there anything else there that looks familiar to what you saw? I gingerly take the old book and flip through the yellowed pages. It was printed by an elementalist's text transfer, but not a very skilled one, as some of the lines blur around the edges. The text style isn't completely the same as the other fragment I saw, either. Though the illustrations are similar, I shake my head and hand it back. No, it's not from the same book, though the fragment might have been Taishe. Did you see any other volumes by Taishe on Aldrich's shelves? If you were looking, nothing that looked like this. No. This book has an ornate binding, gold on red leather, with small emeralds set into the cover. No title or author visible, though older books often don't have them. Most books I'd seen in Master Aldrich's study were newer, at very least, from this century. And I don't think he'd be that sloppy, would he? I ask. To leave a Taishe volume in plain sight? He grunts and sighs. Well, it was worth a try. He returns the book to the shelf, sliding it in carefully, drawing the moment out. Stalling? His breaths are coming faster, and my fear is rising with them.